For more on this, let's bring in Deroy Murdock. He's a Fox News contributor, and Josh Hammer, a political commentator. Gentlemen, great to see you. I don't know about you, but I was really glad to hear what Governor Braun was saying. Deroy, is Indiana showing the country, particularly the governors of this country, looking for some answer, the right answers?
Yeah, David, it's great to be with you. And yeah, that is the right answer because there are people who are needy, who can't take care of themselves. And that's why government is there to take care of folks like this. And when you see the stuff going on in Minnesota with these people stealing something like $8 billion, sending some of it back to Somalia, probably to possibly to terrorists, buying sports cars, going on vacations. This is disgusting. Not just the fleecing of the taxpayers, but the fleecing of people such as autistic children, who are the kind of folks who can't take care of themselves and need public services. And they're taking money away from those kids. This money could be used to give those kids the help they need.
Absolutely.
Instead, it's being pocketed by thieves, by crooks. And I really want to commend Nick Shirley for his excellent video. It's about 40 minutes long.
Oh, it's terrific stuff.
And he gets into great detail about this. They go to multiple child care centers, healthcare centers, where there's nobody there. They're just empty buildings and people are sucking up the cash. And the real victims, the people who need government's help, are the ones who are being most disserved by this. And the Democrats should be the ones leading the charge to take care of the people they say they support and care for. And obviously, they really don't.
By the way, that we're looking at the video. We don't have the sound on, but you're looking at the video that this guy put out. Incredible, Josh, what he has done. And I just think, you know, the Pulitzer Prize Committee has given out a lot of bad awards in the past, going back to the 1930s when they gave money to a guy covering up the USSR atrocities named Durante, all the way up to the collusion BS that they got at the Washington Post and New York Times. This is real journalism. This is a guy who deserves a Pulitzer. I suggested earlier on X that Elon Musk should start a new a civilian journalist award system to honor people like this and the work that he's doing.
Well, the question that I have is, why did this fall upon Nick Shirley, an independent YouTuber that I'm not sure how many Americans had even heard of until about a week ago or so? Why did it fall on him to do this? To be clear, I am extremely happy they did this. This footage has now racked up 100 million views, more or less, which is frankly just an astonishing number. But, you know, where's the corporate media? I mean, where are the old school, just kind of that old-fashioned leather bootstrap journalism that really prevailed in this country for a very, very long time?
I have to push back a little bit because we are a corporation. We're run by a corporation, and we have done a lot of investigation into all this. People both on the reporter side and on the anchor side. Elizabeth McDonald has done extraordinary work in getting into the nuts and bolts. She, like myself, worked at the Journal, so we're used to doing stuff. But I think the Fox has pushed back a lot.
Oh, for sure. No, of course. Look, I'm the senior editor-at-large of Newsweek, a mainstream media company in its own right. We've been covering this story very much as well. So there are some exceptions, but I mean, CNN, MS Now, New York Times, there's a lot of folks where if you try to Google on the search bar at the website there, this story, frankly, is nowhere to be found there.
Absolutely.
So Nick Shirley's done a tremendous public service, and hopefully that he is rewarded for it.
Deroy, just to give an idea of how bad the situation, we haven't seen the worst of it. Socialized medicine, if we go whole hog for socialized medicine, we're going to begin to resemble less of the model for the world in terms of private health care than we are the UK-styled socialized medicine, which is becoming, even the Washington Post had an editorial about the UK's socialized system. They say child care providers didn't take, they say hospital corridors overflow and routine procedures get canceled due to a catastrophic event commonly known as winter. It comes around every year, yet the system, despite annual funding increases, still somehow remains unable to cope. That is what socialized medicine will bring you. I hope Americans are aware of that, and I hope Americans are aware of that's where Obamacare is leading us.
Well, that's right. I mean, what the beauty of socialized medicine is that it allows everyone to enjoy equalized misery. And it's supposedly free at the point of service, except you pay for that with higher taxes. I heard a terrible story about a British man, older man, who hurt his hip, and it took like 6 months before they could see him. By the time they saw him, that tear in his, or break in his pelvis had frozen. He spent the rest of his life walking around with his hip at an angle like this because they didn't see him in time to take care of him. Here in this country, it'd be seen within hours or maybe a day at most. And this is just a sick, disgusting system. And Great Britain's a NATO country, major world power, big leading country, great ally of ours. But their healthcare system is something out of the third world or maybe even worse. And people suffer
Yeah.
while it's free of charge, quote unquote. People are not getting quality care over there, and a lot of people suffer. And you've even seen higher incidents of morbidity and
Oh, yeah.
even earlier deaths in a place like that than over here.
Absolutely. Well, I lived in a British hospital for a month when my wife had a stroke over there, and people were dying of MRSAs all around us. I know a MRSA, that's the resistant kind of penicillin, and you build up resistance to it, so people, can die from common colds in the hospital. That was happening all around us, and it's because they just give people an overdose. Too much antibiotics leads to no immune system on your own. But Josh, I just want to talk for a moment about what we do with the enablers, and I'm talking about Governor Walz in particular, and Attorney General Keith Ellison as well. There's a long paper trail of them enabling the people, the fraudsters who were responsible for this. You can go back to 2023 when there's an ex post by the governor saying child care providers didn't take this job to get rich. Oh, yeah? But they sure as heck didn't take an oath of poverty either. We're providing direct funding to boost pay for child care providers. Well, he came off saying that, we need to pay these people more. We want to give them direct money, which of course can easily be split off for kickbacks if some of that was going on as well.
Look, I think the question to me right now is, what did Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, other state officials, what did they know and when did they know it?
Right.
And perhaps just as important is the corollary to that, which is, what did Kamala Harris's vetting team know and when did they know it? Because let's not forget that Tim Walz was picked out of relative obscurity and brought to be Kamala Harris's running mate in their failed ticket just last year. So on the one hand, maybe Kamala Harris's vetting team was just grossly incompetent. On the other hand, it's arguably even worse. They saw this and said, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it there. Now, the good news is that Treasury Secretary Bessent is currently looking into this. They're currently investigating possible financial crimes there. So that is definitely very encouraging to me there. But this is certainly all hands on deck for all officials who are willing to investigate there, because the public deserves a lot of answers. Minnesotans, frankly, deserve a lot of answers as to what the heck happened to their public taxpayer dollars and who was responsible for it ending up in the coffers of al-Shabaab in Somalia, for goodness sake.
And it's not just the governor, by the way, Deroy. Keith Ellison, there's a tape from him, I think it was back in 2021, where he was dealing with some of these fraudsters, essentially saying, don't worry, we'll be able to take care of things. And these are people who were contributing money to his campaign. And they turned out to be right at the heart of the biggest part of this scandal.
Absolutely right. This is, a lot of this stuff ends up being kind of a money laundering system where people in the government give money to folks in the private sector, and they turn around and kick that money back in terms of political donations. I think it's part of why there's been so little scrutiny on this until people like Fox News and Nick Shirley have put a lot of light onto this mess. Up until now, they've paid very little attention, as people have had, again, as Nick Shirley shows, people having multiple of these fraudulent childcare centers at the same address. In one case, they lost their license, but they popped up, they changed their name. They were in business the next day in the same location. And I think they're looking, a lot of the reason that this didn't get the government scrutiny it should have is people looked at, in Minnesota, the Democrats looked at the Somalis as a great base of political support, 100,000 people who vote as a bloc. So let's not alienate them. Let's look the other way. Let's let them take money and let them make sure they show up at the polls.
And not only political support, but perhaps some financial support as well. We got to look into all of that. Treasury agents are combing the field in Minnesota right now, looking for details. Gentlemen, great to see you. Have a wonderful new year. Josh, Deroy, thank you very much for coming in. Coming up.